Hmm. Getting right into it, right?
Yeah, just get right
Yeah.
into it, baby.
So, I actually grew up in homeless shelters.
Oh man, what?
Yeah.
Like that's
So
that's poor.
that's poor.
That's poor, brother.
That's how you do it. So you go to whenever there was church events, charity events, you run in there. We need coats. We need shoes. We need food. Whatever canned goods that are there, we're taking that.
That was you out there trying to get that from.
We're doing all that.
Oh,
Coming back, going to university, um, whatever they were protesting and whatever they had going on, I've lived it. I've seen it. As they're protesting war, I'm like, I just came back from over there.
right.
I just, like my buddy this just happened. So I'm family. We were in a lockdown while we were in the prison system, right? So lockdown, you can't have any personal items. So I'm dealing with that. And so I finally get to my phone, so I could run through the messages and see what's going on. I got my family that's blowing up my phone and like, oh my God, this can't be true, whatever's happening. So I start calling them back and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Chase after your dreams. Don't stop. I know that there's moments and there's trials and tribulations that people do go through, but you gotta try to push through that, because you never know what's on the other end, and there's gonna be ups and downs in your road. There's gonna be ups and downs in everybody's road, but if you have an end game and if you stick to, what you really want to do, you're gonna get there.
Right.
You're gonna get there, I promise. Because now you're trying to open up bank accounts. Now you're trying to file taxes under a name that doesn't exist anymore because you're dead.
You've been voided off the system.
What do?
I don't know. What do you do, brother?
You see
You start
what I-
drinking, I guess.
That's why you got to read the book.
All right, people, you know what it is. It's the one and the only The American Cholo podcast, broadcasting live and directly from North Hollywood, California. My name is Gail, and I am The American Cholo. And today we got a banger for you people. Our next guest is a best-selling author, combat vet, and former federal law enforcement officer. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Carmelo Rodriguez.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
You're looking slick with that hat on, Carmelo, man. Man, how you doing, brother?
I appreciate you.
No, man, thank you for coming, man. So, like everybody else, man, let's get it in, man. Where were you born and raised?
Bronx, New York. Born in Bronx, and then moved to Brooklyn, and then that's where I spend the majority of my days.
In Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, New York.
And how was Brooklyn for a guy like you out there back in the days, man?
It was getting right into it, right?
Yeah, just get right
Yeah.
into it, baby.
So I actually grew up in homeless shelters.
Oh man, what?
Yeah. So the first couple of years was in the homeless shelters.
Now was that just you and your mom, or who was it?
Me and my mom's.
How old were you?
Yeah. I was a kid. Couple years old. So we went from there, and then it was me, my brothers and sisters, homeless shelters.
And homeless shelters, they rooms, or they like I imagine almost like a
It's-
church thing with beds or something.
No. So when you're a single parent, you have they give you your own like studio room.
Right.
It's like a twin size bed, and then everything's in that little area. Yeah, so you got to figure it out once you get your little space.
And before you guys went to the homeless shelter, do you still remember as a kid what was going on? Were you like living in an apartment or something?
Little bit here and there, living with family, and then the homeless shelters all the way until we moved in with family in Pennsylvania for a little bit, and then back to New York.
And how old were you when you first started going to the shelters? Do you think or remember?
2, 3 years old.
Little kid.
Yeah, we were kids. We were all kids. So it was at the time, the first time, or as far back as I remember, it was me, my brother, and one of my sisters. Now there's 7 of us,
Oh, yeah.
but at the time it was just us 3 trying to wing it.
Now, as a kid, did you even know like this is different? Because now you can say, "Man, you're in a homeless shelter," but as a kid, did you know that this was something that most people weren't really doing?
No, so in New York, their homeless programs, they're actually fairly good. So we had our little space or whatever it was, and then they had like little daycares while the adults kind of like did whatever they had to do in order to get out of the situations that they were in.
Right.
So
To find work or get into the process of finding work, right?
yes, yes.
So I mean, is it fair to say you or your family were part of the success stories of homeless shelters and programs like that?
No,
No. Okay. Why do you say
no.
no?
Um, because they take care of you. They while they help you, they also hinder you because you get so used to being taken care of by the system, whatever the system is. And you get used to it, so you feel like there's nothing else. This is where I'm comfortable. This is what I want to do, and then that's it. So it wasn't until we had family that pulled us in out of that situation that things had to progress.
Started changing. Now, how long ago? How long into that process did you guys finally start, or your parents start going to get help like that from the family members? How many years?
It took a couple years, but the family got right, and then things started moving towards progression. I want to say when I was like 10, maybe 11 years
Oh, wow,
old,
that's a
give or
long time to be
take.
going out of kind of.
Yeah.
You were kind of like in the system, I guess. Let's say because you were in the
Yeah.
system,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, throughout the time that you're a kid going through this, are you, doing good in school? Are you being a knucklehead? Because a lot of kids in that kind of environment end up kind of rebelling because just where they're at.
Well, it goes one of two ways. Either you're gonna rebel or you're gonna be shy. I was a shy kid. I was very shy, and everything was about my siblings. Because I'm the oldest, and I see whatever's going on, and I don't want them to endure that kind of stuff. So,
Right.
as the oldest kid, you take that in, and you kind of shield them the best way you can.
Now, where was father in this whole situation? You still looking for the guy?
No, 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 no. So, he had his own things that he was dealing with on his end, and he did his best, I would say, to try to figure it out as a kid because the biggest issue was my parents were very young, very young. My mother, she had me when she was, I think, 14 years old.
Okay.
So she got pregnant when she was 13. And my father is just 2 years older than her. So imagine them trying to figure that out throughout their days. And they don't know.
It was just like the saying goes, babies having babies.
Babies having babies. And that's kind of just the way that it was. So, over the years, I would say he definitely learned how to mature and how to be I don't even know if I would say a father, but more of a older brother.
Okay, yeah, I can
you
get that.
know, because we were, as the oldest child, I was growing up with them,
Yeah, of course.
and that's just the way that it was.
But now I guess you guys are on speaking basis now, or just at least you're not screaming at the guy.
No, no, no. We're on talking terms. Um, uh, he's been in and out of incarceration,
Okay,
so we're on talking terms.
okay, fair enough. So
Yeah.
then you go to where did you say you went to with your family?
We ended up going to Pennsylvania.
So how's the change from going to somewhere like New York or Brooklyn out to Pennsylvania?
Um, we were living with family at the time until we ended up. I think we got into like Section 8 or something like that.
Right.
So we were living in Section 8. The family or my father, he ended up uh, getting employment. So then he was just working, working until from sunrise to sunset. He was just putting in hours. That's just what he did. All the way until he felt like whatever he was doing just wasn't enough. So then, he stepped out and went into the streets and got caught up.
Trying to make some money out there.
That's the way it is.
Wow. So now that let's say you're Pennsylvania, you start going to school out there. Did you end up graduating out there in Pennsylvania? Or did you end up going back to the New York part of town?
I ended up getting my GED. So, growing up in that kind of situation, it's everything's survival. Nothing is there's no game there. It's all about, yeah, what are we gonna eat today? How are we gonna get these diapers? Stuff like that. So growing up with that in that lifestyle, you appreciate as much as you possibly can, and you learn what's important. And at the time, everything was about my siblings. So whether or not my parents were involved, everything was all about my siblings. So I remember a time specifically that I ran in and out of a corner store. They call them bodegas over there where we're at, right? So ran in and I almost feel in my heart that that the guy at the register, no, he knew what was up. Walked in the store and I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. Walked in the store and I'm like, I gotta grab these diapers, and I ain't got no money. So run in, grab the diapers, run out the back door, and then play this game. Is he gonna come after me? Where's the cops? And that was a routine. So you pick your battles, and you learn to survive.
Now, how do you think you stayed away from the actual, let's say, criminal element of all that? And you may have probably dabbled with it, but a lot of kids in your situation, they turn to like street gangs very easily.
Yeah. Once again, because I was so focused on my brothers and sisters that it was not really an option for me, because who's gonna watch the kids if I'm not there? And I think around that time, they were serving like breakfast at school, right? For the kids that didn't have money, that were literally living in the ghettos or dealing with whatever they were dealing with. So I would go to breakfast and I would shove food in my pockets and come home, and that was my life.
I mean, that's poor.
That's poor.
That's poor, brother.
That's how you do it. So you go to whenever there was church events, charity events, you run in there. We need coats. We need shoes. We need food. Whatever canned goods that are there, we're taking that.
That was you out there trying to get that from.
We're doing all that.
Wow. Now, do you look back now and realize it's not burden is not the word, but what like strain and stress you had as a child doing that? Because most kids they're not responsible like that. They don't see that stress.
I think at this point, I don't see it either. I don't, because it builds a resilience and it builds a character, and it shows you what's important to you. Like everything wasn't glam for me. Everything wasn't fame. Everything wasn't like TV wasn't a thing. Video games wasn't a thing. Reading books from the library because they were free. That was a thing. Learning to play board games whenever they were accessible. That was a thing. And then just going back to my siblings and talking about how their day was, because that's the only thing that we had. So conversation became a thing.
A lot of communication in your house.
Absolutely. And that's how you learn to get by.
And now let's go to the part where you start dabbling in before you went to the military. What was the thing that kind of guided you towards the military?
So I met during my time with trying to figure out my way, trying to survive. There was a guy. His name is John. I always give him a shout out with every interview because he was like that random angel that just came through and said, "Hey, let me help you for a second."
Mentor.
Yeah, and he just got out of lockup, so he dealt with his own situations coming up. He was an orphan, so he had his own situation that he was living with, and he came in and he was like, "Hey, let me help you out." And me being a hard ass that I was at the time, I was like, "No way! Like you're a weirdo. Like who the hell are you? Like you're just gonna come in and try to, And he's like, "I know your family. Let me see if I can do something to help you out." And I'm like, "No." So he definitely had to build that trust over time, and then it turned into um, now he wanted me to go to work with him, and his thing was, I'm just gonna get another job, and I'm gonna teach you how to do it the right way. If you wanna learn how to take care of your family, let me teach you the right way. You're a young kid. I don't want you to end up in this weird place or whatever. So let me at least do what I can. And for the little bit of time that I was around with him or whatever it was, I definitely learned a lot. And he was a little bit older than me, but he was as mature and wise as anybody I needed in my life.
Exactly did you meet John at?
That was in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That was in Pennsylvania. Yeah, so that ended up happening, and then um so then he took me to back in the day when they had the pizzerias that used to do their own deliveries,
Hmm.
right? He ended up picking up the secondary job as a delivery guy, and he's like, "This is how we're gonna do it. This is how you're gonna learn how to do it, and whatever tips that come in, that'll be yours." And he was like, "I make wages this way, and you'll take in the tips until you can learn how to drive and you can do this yourself, right?" So and it was great, and we definitely built a bond that way, and that was also like a brotherhood, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Sure. That small just step he did, and I mean, you would think pizza delivery, what's the big deal? But
Yeah, when you're in those kind of circumstances, anything anything goes a long way.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, especially if you're not eating.
yeah.
So now you're doing this. Where does the thought of the military come from?
um it was from his family, so he would bring up like his little stories here and there. um he did ended up getting adopted after some time uh by a military family, so he would talk about that. So when I felt like, I was old enough or whatever it was, I felt that that was my way out. And I used that completely. So I got my GED. And I always say that that was my biggest achievement, literally my biggest, because that is what got the ball rolling. So I got my GED, and then I took my little paperwork over to the recruiting office, and I was like, "Hey, um, I don't care what job I get. I don't care, what I'm doing. I just need to get out of here." And they were like, "We can do that. Let's go." And that's exactly what they did.
How old are you at the time?
Uh, 18,
Oh, yeah.
18, and then by the time that I left, I was 19.
And you went to the U.S. Army?
I went to the army.
Okay, so talk to me about the Army. How was it for you?
Uh, it was good. No, 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 no. It was great.
Okay.
you know. So going in, I really didn't know what to expect. I was just like, this is my way out, and I'm gonna take full advantage of it. So I went through whatever training that they did have going on. There was definitely obstacles that challenged me way beyond anything that I ever came across, and I took up on the challenge, and I never gave up. Even at the points that they were like, you don't have it, you don't have what it takes, and it almost felt like they were testing me. They wanted to see that dog. And remember, like I said earlier, I was still a little shy. They didn't want that. I'm in a combat job. They want they want aggression. They want discipline, but they want a monster. you know? So they're trying to build you into this person, you know, but if you're shy and timid, you're not you're not going to be there. So they build and they build until they feel like, okay, we're here. Let's see what you can do. And that's exactly what they did. And it was great. Yeah.
Now, when you say they break you down, like, is it in a physical sense? Is it in a emotional sense? What do they do it?
I would say it's a little bit of both, you know. So they're pushing your body as much as they're pushing your mind, you know. So I'm this little kid, you know. I'm scrawny. I think I came in like 125 pounds or something like that.
Small
Yeah,
guy.
and I'm this little guy, and now they're giving me rucksacks. It's like a book bag filled with stuff or military equipment and stuff. And they're like, hey, now we're gonna go ruck march from this point to that point. And I'm like, no way, man, I can't carry this. And like, oh, you're quitting now already? You know, and I'm like, oh man. So now I'm moving around doing that. And they're like, okay, now we got all of this military drills and all of this stuff. And I'm like, what the heck am I doing? And they're like, oh, you wanna quit? Is this what you want? No, not even close. You know, all the way until I was like, okay, I'm loving this.
All right.
You know, I can do this. I can push through this. Put on a little bit of weight, and I was like, all right, what next?
Your confidence started going up and
Oh,
up.
absolutely, absolutely, it was great.
So, where did you deploy to?
So I ended up going after my job or after my training. I ended up going to upstate New York, and then a few months later, I was in Iraq.
Oh, you. What years were you in Iraq?
I was in from '06 to the end of '07.
Okay.
Yeah,
Talk to me about Iraq. How was it where you were at? Was it like a lot of combat? Was it a little bit, or were you off to the sides?
there was combat. It was interesting, you know, and war breaks people, you know. So if you don't have the mindset that like sometimes shit happens, and you know, just try to understand that war is war, you know, and take it a day at a time. You're literally gonna take it a day at a time, and you got to trust the people that you're with, because if you're a loner, you won't survive there. And if you don't trust the person to the left and your right, you're not gonna survive there.
Well, that's exactly why the military is also trying to get to your breaking point, right? Because they want to see how you're going to act while you're here and on land. Now let's go over here where your breaking point can cost your life if you don't know what you're doing.
Not even. I would say they're forcing you to build that brotherhood.
Okay.
Because they're pushing you way beyond the point of you being a loner. They're pushing you to the point that I can't be a loner. I need help. So now you're looking to the left and to the right, and that person is in the same situation, but together, you guys are stronger. And you'll push.
Is there any such thing as like race in the military, or is it like out here? A lot of times it's kind of racial, not in a bad sense saying, but people kind of hang with their own. Over there, isn't it more like we're just one unit? It is what it is. Nobody really cares.
In the military or in the army,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
There's one race. You're green.
Right.
You're military. You're the army, right? So, and every military or every department has their own little thing, little rivalry or whatever.
Right.
But we're all in the U.S. military, right? The Army's green, the Air Force is blue, so on and so forth, right? So we're in the Army, we're green, we bleed green. Yeah, USA all the way.
That's right,
That's
brother.
it.
So when you came back from combat, did you come back a different person?
I think anybody that's seen their fair share of combat, of war, would come back a little bit more numb to society. So will I say that? Absolutely. Um, there was definitely a lot of loss amongst all of us. So yeah, I would say I came back just a little bit more edgy, and that was way more mature, way more experienced. So coming back, going to university, um, whatever they were protesting and whatever they had going on, I've lived it. I've seen it. As they're protesting war, I'm like, I just came back from over there.
Right.
I just, like my buddy this just happened to him. And this just happened to my buddy that I call my brother, and now I see you guys protesting this, and it was a little sickening,
Oh,
but at
yeah.
the
How does it
same
make you feel when
time,
you see that kind of
yeah,
stuff?
it was a little sickening, but at the same time, you got to have that mindset that sometimes people are just closed off, or sometimes, people are misinformed. So you got to take that to the jaw sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think a little bit off of that topic, but the war topic? Do you think it was a mistake the way we pulled out of Iraq when we did, as fast as we did?
I don't know. I don't. I can speak from my own experience, and why did we stay there um for 15 months or 16 months at a time, when the initial deployment was only a year long, and they just kept extending. So stuff like that messes up combat soldiers. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna spend about 10 months in actual war, right? If for a 12-month deployment, you're going to spend about 10 months there. And then you're dealing with packing, unpacking, and dealing with whatever admin situations, right?
Logistics.
Yeah. So now add a couple of more months to that, knowing that they're supposed to be coming home. And then, days before, or maybe a week before, they say, hey, we're going to add another month. And then, hey, we're going to add a few more weeks. And then before you know it, you're like, forget this. I'm never going home. So think about what it does to the psyche of a man that's
Right.
spending day in and day out getting shot at and blown up.
And you don't know if that extra week is was gonna cost you your life.
Not even, no, the next hour.
Right.
I mean, we were taking mortar rounds to our wherever we would sleep. We were taking bombs, and it was just like we would cover ourselves in our vest and literally prayed. Said bye to the family. Hey, if you don't see me tomorrow, you know why.
You ever see anybody like just plain simply just be like, I don't want any part of this? Like,
Yes,
and what do they do, those guys?
I don't know.
You just know you want to see him again, and that was it.
And that was kind of just it. And
You guys
I
talk about it amongst yourselves, or like,
mm,
hey, they stick so and so, yeah, he's a punk, or just you guys would just keep going with it.
no, not at all. I mean, every person has their breaking points.
Right. Absolutely.
So I don't judge anybody, and I kind of just stuck with that. So I stick to my own opinions, and like I said, everybody has their breaking points, and for me, because of the life that I lived, longevity wasn't a problem for me. Yeah,
Yeah, well, you had something that most of them didn't have, was that struggle as a young person,
yeah,
and that made you much tougher than most.
yeah. It was just I just learned how to just take it a day at a time.
Oh.
Honestly,
So you get out of the military. How many years was it total in the military?
uh, about 5.
Okay, you did 5 years. They try to give you a bonus to stay.
I did stay. I actually enlisted while I was in Iraq, and then I got injured. So then I was medically discharged.
Okay, can you talk about what happened to you?
Um, I was blown up. Yeah. So like I said, there was a lot of soldiers that were either blown up, shot at, whatever, so on and so forth. Um, but after enduring so much of that, it wears down on your body. So I ended up getting dealing with whatever situations on that end, which led me to a medical retirement, and that hurt so bad because at that point I was I was at the high in my career in the military. I was ready to take another deployment, and they said no way. Yeah.
So then you came home, and did you know what you were gonna do?
No, I ended up getting picked up in a university, and like I said, it didn't go very well for me because the mindset at the time and the experience, that I had compared to the kids that I was in the university with,
Right.
it just it didn't blend for me. So I did a little bit of contracting, military contracting, and then I decided to go back to school.
Okay.
So I found a school that was military friendly, which was predominantly um, combat veterans.
Really?
So conversation and camaraderie, and then just mere understanding of how you doing. It goes a long way. It does.
I bet. So what were you studying there at that school?
Initially, I had no idea, so I was just general education, and then talking to one of my buddies, he said, "Hey, maybe you should get into a law enforcement or criminal justice. It might benefit you, or it might suit you very well." And I'm like, I don't know. So I ended up taking one or two classes. I enjoyed it, and then I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice.
Okay. And then eventually you did kind of go to the law enforcement area, right? Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about that? How you got into that?
So after I got my bachelor's degree, I decided to go shop around with it. So I ended up working in a federal prison system, and that was interesting. That was very interesting.
How many years were you there?
A few years.
Okay. Now, how does someone go about getting that job, and what kind of training is it before you actually get on and step onto it? Was it a prison yard you guys went to?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you go about getting that job and then the training for it?
So go to USA Jobs. You fill out your applications, and some of the stuff that they ask or that they look for is military experience. So that's one of the things that they really do seek. But that won't disqualify you if you want to come in just as a regular person trying to get into the prison system.
Right.
But they want the bachelor's degree, and they want the military experience, and they want the courageousness. They want somebody with courage, because when God forbid anything is to happen, it's you and another officer, or it's you and maybe you.
Now, how was it for you once you went in there? Because I mean, does it get, you got to get used to it, like you telling men what to do and having, hey, you got to go here, you got to go there? Because I don't know if you were, used to doing that. Maybe in the military you were, but how did you become like make that normal part of your life, going there and working?
So when I got my introduction into the prison system, it was actually very interesting. The veteran community is really big. It's really popular. So you have a lot of army guys, a lot of Marines that are there. So they would ask you right from the door, "Hey, what did you do before this?" So they know where your head is at,
Okay.
what your experience is. So they bring you in that way. But that's not the only thing. There's you're dealing with men. You're
Yeah,
dealing with men
absolutely.
doing some real time, and you're dealing with men that are doing multiple life sentences. So when you go into that prison system, everything is respect.
Yes.
Everything is respect. So you have to understand that, and you have to be able to talk to men like men.
Sir.
That whole bossing and bullying, they'll let you know right from the door. The only reason that you're leaving is because we're letting you. And what are you going to tell him then?
Yeah, pretty much.
You know?
Pretty much. You got a guy in there doing, double life, and he's
Yes.
having a bad day, and you seem to be the one who wants to scream at him. He's like, all right, well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they'll tell you right there, today I want this work. Today I want some work, and I'm gonna give you how. And you better call your friends because this is gonna get really really interesting for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, What is something that stood out to you that really surprised you about just the federal prison system, if anything?
I would say there were so many familiar faces. Yeah. And when I say that, it was more over on the side of there's a lot of my family members that have been in and out of the prison system, so on and so forth. Like I said previously, my father, you know, he's in there as well. So having conversations with these men and just talking it out, and you're like, man, I was where you're at. The only difference is I went left and you went right.
Right.
When the time came, I decided this was more important than that, and that's what made the biggest difference. So, and you sit down with these people, and they're regular people. They just came across a situation that didn't go so well. But you also get the ones that are, this is their life, and they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Those are the guys you got to watch out for.
yeah, yeah.
So how many years you do the correction thing in the feds?
I did it for a few years. I did it for a couple of years, and then I felt like it was time for me to go.
Was it a specific incident, or you just kind of just burned out on it?
No, no, it was just my time to go, and that was kind of just it. That's when I decided to, I guess, like take on the whole writing thing and see where that went.
Okay, so talk to us about that. How did you get inspired to start writing?
So back in 2017, I was mistakenly declared deceased by the government.
How does that happen?
I have no idea,
So
but
you walk into a store or something, and
no. So my family, we were in a lockdown while we were in the prison system, right? So lockdown, you can't have any personal items. So I'm dealing with that, and so I finally get to my phone, so I could run through the messages and see what's going on. I got my family that's blowing up my phone, and like, oh my God, this can't be true. Whatever's happening. So I start calling them back, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, what the heck? And they're like, hey, I got a letter from this agency that's saying that you died. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And they're like, and we know you work in the prison system, so we're like, what is going on? And we were trying to, all of my family was trying to contact me, and they're like, hey, we got notice, that you were deceased. So yeah, imagine. So then I ended up, getting home, and I got a letter in the mail that I was deceased.
or deceased as well.
And I'm like, whoa, 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 right? But what was wild was that letter came with a funeral allowance check. Yeah.
It's-
And I was like, okay, this is interesting. So now I'm calling people asking what's going on. And they're like, hey, you got to come to the regional office so we can situate this. A few days later, I got a final pension check saying all of my benefits are going to be cut off, and this is the last check that you will be receiving. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm still working. I'm literally still
I'm still alive.
I'm still working. My taxes are being taken out. Like I'm literally dealing with all of this stuff right now. And so then I ended up going to the office, and they tried to fix the situation, but they can only do it for their agency, you know? And what was difficult was they started the process. So now this ball is rolling. So now one agency turned into three, turned into five, turned into every agency that needs to know that you are deceased. You're now gone.
They believe you're dead.
You're now gone. Yeah. So now try to fight that.
Oh my God! It's next to the bureaucracy.
Try to fight that. So what I ended up doing, I couldn't get any help. And I was reaching out to attorney after attorney, just to try to get this situated. And everybody, they share their sympathy, but they were like, we can't get involved in this. Like, we don't even know how to help you.
Know where to start.
Yeah. So I created a YouTube channel, and I was like, I'm gonna turn this into a vlog, and I'm going to show everybody my day by day dealing with this, because this is something that's live and happening right now,
Very unique.
right? So I did that, and then a news station picked it up. They said, "Hey, is this real or just like a conspiracy theory kind of thing?" And I'm like, "This is real." And I have all of the documents, and they were like, "No way." So they came to my house. We had our little interview. Before I know it, I'm on national news, and my YouTube channel is on national news. And then that turned into, when are you writing the book? You know?
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So now I'm here, like, okay, how do I do this? You know? Like, this was something that never came across my mind, and now I'm sitting here with this opportunity. What am I gonna do with it? Do I let this die out, or do I turn this into a real story and see where it goes?
And turn it into a positive.
That's exactly what I did.
That's a great story. Now, are you alive right now, or are you still dead, man?
I'm alive.
Okay, just gotta check. Man. Yeah. Where do you start with that? Don't tell me go read the book, Gil, because then shameless plug, real quick. Huh?
Yeah. So, like I said, it was a lot of baby steps, because nobody was hearing me out. So it wasn't until national news picked it up, then I got senators reaching out to me.
Okay,
How can we help you?
The big wigs.
Now we got the big dogs.
Yes.
Let's fix this right now. Now, at the time I was in a master's program. Now the chair of the master's program wants to assist in any way possible. So now I'm sitting on a small scholarship, and I'm like, thank you. And like, you turn every negative into a positive, and just kind of run with it. And that's exactly what I did.
Oh man. So, the book. Were you just sitting there like looking at a piece of paper for 2 hours, or when did you actually say, "All right, here we go"? How did you actually start writing it?
So, while I was vlogging, I was actually journaling, because I wanted people to see whatever was fun and whatever was interesting, and just little points that I was hitting on the camera.
Right.
But what they didn't know was what I was actually writing down, and how I was, going through my depression, how I was going through my anxiety, how I was practically drinking myself to sleep every night. Because how do you prepare for something like that? Let's really think about it. Do you have any money saved up? I mean,
Right. No, for
would
real.
you? I mean, like, okay, and then let's go even deeper. Okay, you have a bank account, but they close it because you're dead now.
Oh, you can't.
Where's your
say
money?
that.
Do you have money in your sock drawer?
You have enough money in your
Do
sock
you?
drawer.
Yeah.
Wow.
A couple of
yes.
hundred. How is that going to get you? How are you going to live off of a couple of hundred?
And everybody just telling you, "Sorry, we can't help you. Sorry,
Yeah.
we can't help you."
But you still have to come to work, right?
Yeah, you still got to pay the bills. You can't
You
just
still-
tell them, "Hey, I'm dead. I'm gonna live here for free."
But where's that money going?
Yeah, it's gonna. They're still taxing your money. They're still going to the bank. It's still. Oh my God! It's just one.
The-
One. When it rains, it pours.
And then it goes even deeper, right? So you have an ID, right? You have a driver's license, right?
Yes.
Right? Are you going to be able to drive? When the police officers run your ID, God forbid you do an
Anything,
illegal
yeah.
turn, anything like that, they run your stuff. What now?
Hey,
You're
it's not valid.
deceased.
You're dead.
And then at the time, what was I? I was law enforcement, right? So you're impersonating a police officer? Is that what you were telling me?
Yeah, because they're saying that law enforcement guy, he's not alive anymore.
You see how deep this goes, and it can go way deeper. So I'm just touching on a few points that really, catches people's
Your
attention.
pension coming in, all money that you've already been accustomed to, everything.
Where does it go?
Yeah, it just stops.
But they're taking the taxes. But where does it go?
Not to you, that's for sure.
Not to you. You don't have no bank accounts, right? And then if you try to open up a bank account and they try to run your social, What do you got? You don't
You
exist.
got nothing, brother.
So now you got fraudulent cases against you because now you're trying to open up bank accounts. Now you're trying to file taxes under a name that doesn't exist anymore because you're dead.
You've been voided off the system.
What do?
I don't know. What do you do, brother?
You
You
see
start
what I-
drinking, I guess.
That's why you got to read the book.
That's what I'm
You like
talking
that?
about. That's what I'm
You like
talking
that?
about. That's what I'm talking about. Oh man. Now there's another. Well, did they ever find out? Just give me a yes or no. They can read the book, but did they ever find out who was it? Was it an ex-girlfriend that just deleted you? That she worked up in the Fed somewhere?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No. I would say that it definitely gets very, very interesting.
Really?
Yeah. And, I'm going to say this. I leave every chapter on a cliffhanger. So if you start reading it, you're gone for a day, maybe two.
Okay. Okay. I believe it. I
Yeah.
believe it. Now, the hardest language.
Yes.
Tell me what that book is about, Carmelo.
So after I went through the master's program, I decided to, you know, get into my continuing education and see where that led me. And I decided, hey, PhD, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to stop. So in order for you to move into your PhD program, you have to do extra classes so you can gain the credits in order to get to that point. So now it's postgraduate stuff. So then it was, where do I go? My GPA was amazing. So that was an easy option for me. Harvard Business School. Did it. Ran through it. And then I was like, they were like, what do you want to do? And I got into negotiations. Right? So now I'm in business. And then now my continuing education programs is in negotiations. So, it's kind of just bringing it all around. But then there was, in doing so, now you got to do little projects here and there. So, learning the ways of the trade. And then with my law enforcement background, it turned into, let's see how we can create this document about negotiations, and how to do it on a crisis side of things, and I wrote that during the time of COVID, I believe, and that was because there was, if you were watching the news, that was one thing that was very high. People were going through depression, and people were committing suicide, and people were, spousal abuse was very high, and alcoholism was very high. So when you're dealing with people in those kind of situations, they're in the most crisis that you can ever be. So how do you get that person from getting off the roof? How do you get that person from not wanting to harm themselves or harm others? So I went in depth with my negotiations training. I took in as many certifications as I can once I went to Harvard Business School, because I was like, this is freaking cool. And then it turns into, how can you help the masses with whatever you know? So what do? I wrote a book about it.
Book about it. Now that book was also somewhat like I guess humanizing police officers. Would that be fair to say?
I would say law enforcement as a whole, yes.
Right, because and we'll touch a little bit on that. Because I think especially back then, law enforcement was you picked up any news, turn on any news station, it was, they're killing us, they're destroying us, they're beating us, they're evil people.
Mm-hmm.
And you being part of law enforcement, how does that make you feel? How did the department feel as a whole?
Me personally, working on the negotiations side of things, it was just I felt like people were misinformed. There's a lot of people that, just do not like law enforcement, and then there's others that would bandwagon that. But when everything's said and done, when something arises, that's what they call.
Yes.
You know, when something is, for instance, let's say the Nashville thing, right? Who came running in?
Wow, you saw that video.
Who came running in? Without hesitation. Everybody was running out. Who came running in? Bullets flying. Who came running in?
Yeah, the difference between regular citizens is citizens hear gunshots, they duck and run the other way. Police officers, when they're on or off duty, most of them are gonna run towards that shot.
On or off?
Yeah, straight up.
Because that's just, it's in them. This is what I'm here for. I'm a public servant, and this is what I do.
Yeah, and like I told you when we were talking off air, I completely respect police officers. Do I think there are some that are bad? Yeah, but there's bad in everything. You can't sit there and put them all in one batch and say, oh, they're all like that. But with that being said, let me ask you this: do you not think there is something like in LA they'll call it like the blue shield, like where a lot of times officers, even though they know that one of them did wrong, everybody else will kind of just look the other way? You think that's an issue that makes the community believe police officers are bad at times?
I can say that the ways are changing, so, even learning, in my bachelor's program, community policing is becoming a more popular thing over time. And, with whatever was happening in the 80s, I can't really say about that, but,
Right.
people lived through that, and, people lived through the 70s and the 60s, and, some people just have that in their mind that every agency is like that. All law enforcement's like that. Things will never change. But as time rolls around, things change.
Sure. And
Yeah.
I think they're definitely changing, and it's changing for the better.
So,
What other books have you written?
So I've dabbled into those books, and then I decided, hey, let me see what else I'm good at. So then I got into the kids' books. So, I have a 3-year-old now. He just turned 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So me and my wife, we decided, hey, let's try out a collection of kids books. So we decided to do that, and we wrote 4 kids books, and that got picked up by Barnes and Nobles pretty quick.
Congrats, bro.
Yeah.
Congrats. What's the name of the book?
Yeah. I can give you one for certain. It's My Mommy's a Superhero. Yeah, and that was great.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, where did the thought of, was it because of you had your kid? Is that why you came
Yeah.
up with that? Something
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
me
yeah.
with them?
Yeah, bedtime stories. And it was her idea actually, and she's a big reader for him. So then it turned into, what if we made our own, instead of going, you have all these ideas, and you can create, a bunch of stuff out of nothing. What if you did this for your son? And I'm like, yes. There was that wasn't a no. There was no in the air.
Now, what kind of father is Carmelo?
I don't know. I'm just dad. That's it. I'm the guy that comes home from work, from whatever I'm doing, and my little guy comes looking for me.
That's
you know
cool.
that my wife calls, and it's like, he still won't go to sleep. Can you come home and rock him to bed? And like,
That's
yeah, and I'm
beautiful.
that guy. And then I'm also the same guy that my wife comes downstairs at 2 o'clock in the morning and is like, are you guys really eating a bowl of cereal? And I would tell her, like, hey, don't judge me, and you got my son, he's like, yeah, what daddy said.
That's dope.
I'm that guy.
That's dope. So through all those struggles and all the trials and tribulations you got through, man, it looks like you're in a pretty good place in life right now, Carmelo.
Yes, I'm blessed. I am blessed, and I'm grateful for everything. That's where I'm at right now.
And what kind of message do you know, like to portray to people or give out to people by writing all these books and doing podcasts like these?
Um, I would say, chase after your dreams. Don't stop. I know that there's moments and there's trials and tribulations that people do go through, but you gotta try to push through that, because you never know what's on the other end, and there's gonna be ups and downs in your road. There's gonna be ups and downs in everybody's road, but if you have an end game and if you stick to, what you really want to do, you're gonna get there.
Right.
You're gonna get there, I promise.
Now, what is your end game? What is the legacy that you want to leave behind? And what's a big goal of yours that you want to hit here in the next few years? Other than being on the American Cholo podcast, I want to go right off the
absolutely, absolutely. I came out here for this.
That's right, bro. I appreciate
came
that,
out here
man.
for this.
For sure.
Yeah. So so I've been filming on another movie for the past couple of days, and I came out here for this one, and now I'm going back out there to the set. So you guys really do have a voice.
Thank
you,
brother.
And it's
Appreciate
amazing.
You.
It's amazing. I love it. But I would say I want to get to 100 books. I want to write 100 books, and then we'll see where that goes. But moreover, I'm dabbling into film. I'm dabbling into a TV series, which is actually working out very, very well. We just did a show at the horror convention. We shot the trailer.
Okay.
Great feedback. People loved it. So now something that was a maybe was a hard yes.
That's a TV series.
Yeah.
What's can you say that any?
Oh yeah. So it's called Haunted or Not.
Okay.
Right. The premiere is going to be in June, and what it basically is, it's me and myself. I'm not a big believer in like the paranormal. I'm really not. I feel like there's always a reason behind anything that happens.
Okay.
But the rest of my team, they are big believers in the spiritual world and paranormal, and some of them are just scared of being scared. So if you bring in the collection of people with all of these characteristics and personalities, you get one guy that's calling out all of the BS.
That's you.
While you get a you get a pretty face on the screen that's like, why am I here? And then we have a spiritual medium, and she gives her insights. And then we have a military tracker, and his main job is to run down the trails, run down the paths. I do a full investigation on the location that we are on, and then I cast out a few extras as background that has no idea what's going on. And it's great because I'm
like fun.
Yeah. So a little
sounds like a real good balance.
It's perfect,
right?
It's perfect because as I'm calling the BS on stuff, you have people in the background literally scared of their shadow. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how the world works. There's some people that see something one way, some person's over here. You're all could be in the same room and have completely different opinions of what's really going on.
Oh yeah, I love it. But after that, it was just gonna be a one and done kind of video or kind of film, and then that turned into this needs to turn into multiple episodes, and then we start getting the calls from different locations. Hey, can you come here?
Oh man!
Can you come? So now it's not that we're going to these venues based on, hey, this is a story or that's a story. No, we got people reaching out to us that's like, hey, I got something for you.
That's dope. You got endless content right there.
It's good.
You might even find your ghost.
We'll see. We will see.
We're still looking for you. Yeah. So how many episodes have you guys filmed so far of this show?
A few.
A few?
I can't really give too much.
When's it coming out?
We're premiering in June.
But is that going to be a private premiere, or is it going to eventually come out on a platform?
No, we're putting it out on a platform at the end of June, And
Looking forward to
yeah,
seeing that.
yeah. Everything's gonna be on my. I'm putting everything on my Instagram, on my whatever social media platforms I do have. I'll put everything out there.
That's right, brother. Well, look at the camera. Let people know, where your Instagram is, your YouTube, everything, where they can find you.
Oh yeah. So you can find me at Vet Doc Series _ studio on Instagram, on Facebook, and Carmelo Rodriguez on YouTube.
And there it is, people. You got any shout outs you want to give to him, Carmelo?
Let's see what time is it. What time we got over here? Yep. So, kids, I love you. It is your bedtime. Diana, remember I told you, 2 years ago, we had this conversation about making it out here. And I said, baby, I promise you, and give me a little bit of time and we're going to make it out to Hollywood. And what did we do? What did we do? We ended up taking a bunch of pictures out there with the Hollywood sign. And I gave a little message to my wife and I said, hey, baby, I told you I'm going to do it. And I'm here. So now it's time to really get to work.
That's right, brother,
Yeah.
man. Good stuff. Well, with that being said, Carmelo, I appreciate you coming on, brother. This was great, man. You're a great, humble guy. I personally thank you for your service, both in the military and everywhere else you work, man. You're doing a great service for us all, man. I appreciate you, brother.
All right.
All right, people. And we're out of here, Chris.